So what I thought we could do today, and it's not like there's a charter or I have some 20 questions, etc. Just some thoughts I had. I thought, encompassing chapter 3, bit of chapter 3, bit of chapter 4, and of course 5, because they're all related in some sense, right? They are not in any isolation. And so I thought we could just pose those questions and then bring up our own points in terms of applicability and so forth, right? Because at the end of the day, one is the knowledge, one second is, you know, how does it apply to me? Is the part that's really more crucial for all of us, right? In the spiritual path. So I thought that was the agenda. So, so all of us may have written things or have this in the back of our head already. Um, so maybe the good part to start, I thought, was to start with basics, right? If someone were to ask us, right, what is karma yoga, what would we tell them in very plain, simple words? What is karma yoga? So what is karma? We can start with that first, and then yoga we can say even later. What is karma and what is yoga? And Guruji has also talked about, multiple people have talked about this. And karma has got multiple angles. We will touch upon all of them. But yeah, maybe whoever would like to start. We can all keep our, unmuted so that way it's easy to interact back and forth.
Karma is action, actually. Yeah. Action.
Okay.
Action. Actually, we cannot stop anybody who is born in this world. Not only human beings, even the animals or insects. Everything is always in motion, in action. They are always busy doing something. Even if you see an ant, it is always going somewhere. You wonder what is so busy, where it is going, you will wonder. Same way, we also from morning to night, we are doing something or the other. So karma is action. Yoga is actually, it is, with intention, doing something, an action with intention, concentration, I feel is a karma yoga. That is, that is, you must have the knowledge about what you're doing. If, with that, with that concentration, if you do that, that becomes an offering actually. Offering. It becomes a yajna actually. Of course. Then at the end of it, of course, the best is keep doing it, keep doing to your best ability, but don't get attached to the result. That's what it is.
Okay. All right. Good. Very good. Very good. Good start. Urmila ji, looks like you would like to.
I have written
Bhavani ji,
down.
நீங்களும் கொஞ்சம் unmuted ஆவே வச்சுக்கோங்க. Easier-ஆ இருக்கும். So we'll be back in. Yeah, please.
We cannot stop actions completely. So karma is doing something. Intelligence is better than work, fruitive work, but don't get attached to that fruit. Everyone has to act as per their respective gunas. Then know core spirituality, know your core spirituality, identity of a person. Atma Tattva, Adhyatma involves transitioning from body consciousness to soul consciousness. And God has created.
Let's keep it simple. Just let's talk only about karma here, right? Nothing else at all. Right?
Karma is doing our duties.
We are talking. We are really here in chapter 3. So you are talking about certain things which are in the later chapters. So let's stick to just chapter 3 here, if possible. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Karma is doing your job without getting attached to the fruit of the work. Some are compulsive karmas. I mean, you just can't avoid it. That is that karma.
Okay. So our thoughts and things happening in the mind, are those also karma? If I'm thinking about something but I'm not doing anything, is that also karma?
The thinking leading to something, I mean, by not doing.
No,
but
it may not lead to something.
If it is a productive thinking, yes.
No. Let's keep it simple. I am angry with somebody. Okay. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to take, what do you call, hit with somebody with a stick, right? Just an anger thought is coming with somebody, right? Or a jealousy thought about somebody. Is that also karma?
Is thinking a karma? Thinking anything is karma. Does it create karma or is it karma?
No, I'm just asking, is that action in the, karma for a simple put is action. And Kalpaji said we have to keep doing action from the beginning till the end. Very, very right. Absolutely right. And Krishna also says doing any action is required for everybody. Even to maintain our own body, we need to do action. All that was reciprocated very well by her. My question is, one is physically doing something where I can see action happening. Second thing is I only think. I'm not able to do anything. Let's say a person who's in a bed in the hospital, he or she is not able to do anything.
It is
But
action
his
only.
mind,
It is action only. It is action in inaction.
Yeah.
okay, all right, very good, very good. Yeah, that's a good one. So thoughts are also actions. Now the question that somebody was saying is that, um, Guruji put it one thing very beautifully. See, karma, if you see from another angle, is karma is action. The result of that action is also karma, or the result as in the impression that that particular action creates in you is also karma. And the result of that particular impression, which is going to be another action, is also karma. All the three.
Yeah.
So that means, and the karma, an impression, which is the cause, and that cause is going to drive an effect called another action, is also karma. So we have to therefore look at, when we see it together, it's not like in isolation we see it. And what does karma yoga try to do? Karma yoga is all about the attitude with which I do the action. If I do everything with, remember we learned in third chapter somewhere the word called Swadharma was there. I don't know if you remember. Anything that we do naturally, right? Natural to me, right? That karma that I do does not lead to any impression. And since there's no impression created, there is no resulting action also from that impression. Like simple example is brushing your teeth, right? We do it very naturally, right? We are not doing it with any intention. We simply brush our teeth, we come out, wash our mouth, come out. Absolutely no karma incurred there, no impression. You're doing an action, definitely. But there is no impression. There is no resulting action. And that impression is where the crux of all chapter 3, 4, 5 talks about. It is not to say that don't do any action. It is make sure those impressions are minimized. And what is the best way to minimize an action? What is the best way to minimize that particular thing, impressions? Tell me now. Those impressions are referred to as tendencies or vasanas in Vedic language. How do we reduce them?
Forget it then and there.
But we cannot forget it now. By yogic
by
practices,
yoga,
you doing
the
things which
establishment in
is
the knowledge.
do things with knowledge, very right. Doing something which is natural to you, right? Let's say I do something unnatural to me, right? Because especially let's say in the context of somebody's profession, I am not comfortable doing it, but I'm doing it because somebody says it's better for money, right? And basically that will create either agony, frustration, depression, etc., etc., depending on the situation. So all of those are sources of agitations. Anytime we see agitation, it means it is coming. So we have to, the key thing in karma is what? Anytime we have a pain or some agitation in the mind, it means it's like a postman coming and telling you, your karma is now manifesting. That's what Veda says. If I'm going through right now something in my life, right, it because it is a cause, it is the effect of some cause, and that cause is an impression. So right now, if something has happened suddenly, totally out of the blue, something is happening. I'm either getting a pain, or whatever, right, something, or I'm going through a situation which was totally unexpected. It means a postman is coming and telling you, it is because of something you have done before. It is just an alarm signal for us. So okay, now, so therefore, yoga, as the word put it, and Bhavaniji talked about all that aspects of yoga. We'll get into that a little bit, right? Now, then comes the question of this word impression. leading to a new action, what are the types of karma, impression that are there? What are the sources for them? What are the sources?
Attachment.
Yeah,
Desire,
let's look at it from a higher level. It comes from something that I've done before, right? Now that before can be in this life, or it could be from previous janmas. Hmm. So, so broadly classified, it is classified into three types, right? One is what is referred to as Sanchita karma, which is the entire repository of everything that I've done, but it is sitting in the bank balance. It's not yet manifested. It is in hibernation mode right now. And then there is a prarabdha karma with which I'm born with to fulfill in this janma. And then any new karmas that I bring into my fold by impression that I create in that particular action is agami karma. All these three are there. These are the three possible classifications. Question therefore is, in the way I do with karma yoga, right? What are the things that I can erase? What are the ways to address each of these three categories? Let's understand them. Okay, let's talk about Sanchita karma, right? Sanchita karma is something I've done long time back. I have no clue because in which janma I did what, I have no clue. But it's sitting there because somewhere later on, if I take another birth, those are going to manifest itself into something that I have to fulfill in a later janma. But I somehow want to get rid of it. Who can get rid of it? How do I get rid of it?
By doing service.
Doing service is one thing. Second, more than service, there's one more thing you can do. Service actually will not
Seva
do much to
sadhana.
that particular.
spiritual
Service will not do
practices.
much to
Seva
that
sadhana.
one. Yeah.
Seva
Spiritual
sadhana.
practices.
Sadhana, mainly sadhana and meditation. Only these two. And of course, the grace of a master. The most important part can totally erase all the Sanchita karma. Sadhana, meditation, and the grace of a master can, but those three, that grace of the master cannot do anything to the other two categories of karma, which is what? The prarabdha karma and agami karma. Prarabdha karma, everybody has to go through it. Even a sannyasi has to go through it. Right? You can take the examples of Ramana Maharishi, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Everybody went through something towards the later part of their life, but they took it in a very different manner. That's it. But they went through something, right? So all of us also have to go through it. The question is, when, as I said, that postman comes knocking on your door with a particular thing, how do I deal with it?
Yeah.
This thing has come. I don't know why I did this. I never have been all, then you see this classic case of people, I've been only doing wonderful work all my life here. And this has come to me, this terrible, life is unfair. God is unfair to me.
Acceptance.
So acceptance is one thing, very good, wonderful. What else?
No, sometimes agitated
Detach
thoughts
yourself.
come into your mind.
Detach yourself from that actually.
Detach is a bit hard to do, right? But first thing comes is the acceptance. If I say even with acceptance, yeah, this has come, right? I have no choice. I cannot do anything about it, right? And also, if I keep myself sane in terms of my mindset towards it, it will be over and gone before I even think about it.
Engage yourself.
Because it is temporary. Right. It is coming to the mindset, the knowledge here is where it comes in. So Karma Yoga is also what? Applying the knowledge where it needs to be done. Right. If it comes, I realize that this has come. I can't do anything about it. Right. How do I deal with it? Do I get upset, get frustrated, complaining mindset? Or one of saying it has come, I deal with whatever I have to do, the action corresponding to it. Right. Let's say I have to go to the doctor, or if I have to do something else for my mind, whatever else I do the corrective action, but with the mindset of acceptance. And if I do that, then I don't incur any new karmas from this particular thing. On the other hand, I didn't accept. I got agitated. I got frustrated, and I'm pointing fingers. What am I doing? I'm adding only more to my repository of karmas, and that is agami karma.
Then is it
Whenever
there
I'm
that you
adding
can't
anything new to my kitty, so that agami karma is coming. That agami karma, if I keep it and I leave this body, that becomes again sanchita karma and so forth for the next life. So it's a cycle and cycle and cycle, right? Yeah, you were saying something, Urmilaji.
Yeah, I wanted
Yeah,
to
bol.
say if agitative thoughts come to your mind, then not to argue at all or to put our point also.
See, agitation, you have to ask yourself, what are you agitated about, right? If you're, agitated about saying, I was not good, I should not have eaten this before, and hence I'm getting, let's say I'm taking the example of stomach ache, right? It how it happens to all of us. Oh, if only I had not eaten this food samosa, I will not get it, or I should not have had this water here. So we get into a self-complaining mode about ourselves, or we complain about the environment, or we complain about some person. Tell me what is it doing to you? Are you calm, settled? No, right? So the only way to be settled is acceptance. It has come. I don't know. I don't even want to analyze right now how it has come. Because it's pointless in thinking why it has come. Yeah, you can say there's a lessons learned and all of this, etc. Yeah, that you can do. But right now, if I try to do what I call, they say sometimes over analysis called paralysis. That's what we sometimes do, right? We analyze it to the extent that we put it to depth. Over analysis is referred to as paralysis by psychiatrists.
Nice.
Oh,
No point.
such a nice. Yeah.
So
Over-analysis is paralysis.
so
I can
to
note down
put
this.
this that's up to you.
Really
But
on your name.
but yeah, these three things, right? So karma. So we talk about sanchita karma by prana, by sadhana practices, etc. Now prarabdha karma and agami karma. How do we do it? To have less and less of agami karma with knowledge from karma yoga, apply it so that I take less and less agami karma moving into the rest of my future. And prarabdha karma, when it comes, I don't complain.
Go through it.
I'll tell you this or acceptance, right? Because I've heard this so many times. Very close relatives of mine, who are doing actually wonderful work in this particular janma, and then they go through some terrible situation. Why this is happening to me? Why this happened? Totally unfair. And their belief system comes for a toss, blah blah blah, everything, right? So people in knowledge, on the other hand, will apply a different mindset to it. Yes, there will be agitation temporarily, but if I'm able to come out of it soon, I think that's much the better. Anyway, those are things I just want to, because it's an important aspect that we go through every day. Right? It's not
Yeah.
every day hunky dory from morning till evening, right? Some body pain shows up suddenly, or some mind gets unsettled suddenly, and we just wonder how the hell is this happening, right? So okay, all right. So so karma yoga, therefore, is all about that. Then the other thing that comes up is in this whole thing is we talked about, I'll take selective verses from here, and that way we'll be able to relate to it, right? There was one of the verses that came up, right, is the context of, yeah, where the yajna was talked about. This yajna. What can you all talk a little bit about what do we understand by yajna? And why is it so important?
So it is an offering without expectation.
Okay, that's one
Yeah,
thing.
correct.
There are multiple aspects of this word yajna, right? And why
Yeah.
why is it that it is so important?
Again, any
Doing
action
all
is also called a yajna, right? Any action
Hmm?
is also
That part
yajna.
is correct. What you're saying, Kalpaji, is very right. But in that, there are some basic principles if we relate to, right?
Yeah.
Then we'll be able to appreciate why every action should be considered ayodhya. See, why is it that we are talking about all of this? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to take any residual impression from that action. Bottom line, right? I want to do it with very, very free mind, right? Whatever. So that is where the word yajna has a lot of meaning underneath it. What are those?
The gunas?
That again comes down to action. So yajna, broadly speaking, we said it is a collective effort of multiple sources that
Yeah.
are making an action happen,
Wheel of creation.
right? So when I say I did something, I am just a small part of that action. Even if I'm speaking now, I'm saying I'm an action, right? Yes, it's coming out of my mouth. It is coming out of whatever, some intellect, reflecting to the words and so forth. But am I really the doer of all this part?
No.
Isn't there an intelligence behind it? Isn't there a sense of the prana forces that is making this happen? The fact that I should be able to breathe normally for this to happen, my limbs to move, my vocal cords to move.
Yeah.
Right. If I take a very simple example like this, and then we take even more larger things, right, where we do, let's say, birthday party or a marriage or a function or a particular, let's say an art of living meet or a satsang that we arrange. I might have done something, right? But to realize that I'm important, but then a very small part of it, but there is a lot more other play. But for an action to occur, all of these have to work in harmony.
Yeah.
They have to work together. Only then any action can happen. Right? If my vocal cords want to do something different and my intellect wants to do something else, tell me, will the right words come out of my mouth right now? No, right? So that harmony. So we have to realize, therefore, this whole world that we live in is working out of harmony. Nature is working out of harmony. Right? We know that as an example, seasons, everything. Similarly, even my action is an harmonious combination or culmination of all forces put together to make a particular action happen. And so when I look at it from that perspective, my sense of doership will come down. I will not keep saying, I did this year, I did this year, because of which things happen. And when I have that less sense of doership, then what happens? I don't take this impression. My ego is not, super hyped up because I did this, this, this. And I carry less karma, that impression karma that I'm talking about. I carry less or none of it from this particular thing. And the third thing of that of this yajna is looking at the fact that even the opportunity to do an action itself is a blessing.
Yeah.
The fact that I am able, that I'm able to sit in this class, the fact that I'm able to do this today itself is a blessing. Right? How many of us, let's say, for example, if I take Bhavani ji, right, after the surgery, I'm sure she would have felt so blessed that, after, having going through a few physiotherapy sessions, she's able to walk fairly easily, comfortably within the house. Yes, isn't that a wonderful feeling? So like that, right? Small things. If we put that sense of gratitude that, my ability to do this, my ability to do this action. So when I look at it that way, the opportunity to do an action is also a grace. The fact that I'm able to do an action is one of the, yeah. And the third thing is the result of this action also is like a prasada, whatever the prasada might be. Right. If I take it as a prasada, then, prasada, always way to think about is when you go to a temple or a holy function, they just give a little pizza that we drink, right? We just take it as a holy offering and we treat so much of reverence and respect for that little prasada. On the other hand, when I do some action, we expect this kind of result, this big result, etc. Why? So if I take it in the same thought process that it is a prasada, whatever, small or big, right or wrong, success or failure, I take it with a larger level of acceptance, then I carry less impressions. So it is coming down, therefore, to the Sigya, therefore, is a big thing, right? It's a collective force, sacrificial force. That's the reason yajna is considered a sacrifice. Sacrifice means many people are putting their 100% effort into it to make it happen, right? So if I look at it that way, right, then my sense of this doership, ego getting boosted up, etc., all of that slowly we'll be able to bring it down, right? And of course the you know the fourth chapter, where I'm jumping a little bit ahead here, there are a couple of stanzas where the example is taken. There's a 24th verse of fourth chapter. Brahmatmanam brahmahavihi brahmatmo brahmanahutam brahmaiva tena kantavyam brahma karma samadhina. Right? That word yajna is taken where it talks about in a homa that we do, where we do yajna. Everything, the person doing a homa, the ladle that is used, the ghee that is poured, the dhanyam that is poured, the resulting ashes that come out of it, or the bhasma that comes out of it, everything is one. That is Him, one Brahman. That means, He is the ultimate source for all of this. You're simply a doer. All you're doing is putting the spoon and doing it. It's like when I'm eating, that's the reason this is always chanted, this particular verse, 424, chanted before we eat. Reason is doing it is when I have that sense of gratitude, right? That this food, the grain that I'm eating, the rice I'm eating has come from a paddy field where a lot of people have collectively put their effort together to make it happen. And then somebody brought it and cooked the food for me to put it on my plate here with which I'm eating, right? Gratitude towards source for what I'm eating. And then gratitude to the fact that I'm able to put it into my mouth and relish it in my mouth. That means my taste buds are fine, right? And with that, when I do it with that sense, right, then digestion is better. On the other hand, if I do it with an agitated mind, seeing food that I eat becomes acidic. We all know this from a science perspective. So that's the reason this Brahmatmanam is also chanted when we are eating, so that there is the same sense of, you can call it gratitude, reverence, respect, however you want to call it, is given. And this same thing, you can take it, for example, when you're writing a blog, or when you're playing music, or even when you're cooking, can be taken anywhere. Any action, this applies. But sometimes we just do it. I think we may not be 100% in everything, but at least with awareness, if you remember, right, a few times. And one of those examples, that's reason this eating is considered one such thing, because we spend a quality of time. We just don't rush and eat it, right? So, okay. So, all right. So I think that those were the things about the basic karma yoga part of it. Okay. Then we talked about on the fourth chapter, there is a verse where Krishna talks about the varnas.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about it.
So varnas is described in this 13th stanza. If you were to go to 13th stanza, just go to that one. Yeah, 13th stanza. He says here there is a fourfold varnas that he created. Right. The key thing to remember there, it is that it is not based on birth. That's the key thing that you and I have to take, right? From people think that, if I'm born into this family, I have to be that, etc. So it is says based upon your guna and karma, you are where you are. See, for example, a Vaishya, right? So we all know, right? When we look around there, There might be a priest who would be giving a lot of knowledge. Then you'll see a son of doing something else, right? He might be running a business. And then you will see somebody who's maybe what we may consider as a non-Brahmin, who is very good at chanting. And in fact, that person is able to do. In fact, about Krishna, all these Kshatriyas, right? All of them are Kshatriyas, the kings that we talk about that were profound sources of knowledge, right? So there is nothing that says that, ultimately, one can be wearing a robe of a Kshatriya or a Shudra or whatever, if you see it from a caste standpoint. But from a guna perspective, I might be at the Brahmana level. Do we appreciate that? Right. And also the other aspect of it, this teaches us from a practical perspective, is that in a society, in a kingdom, you need all these four.
Yeah.
Right. In those days, a king used to make sure that he had at least 2 or 3 very learned Brahmin priest people who are sources of knowledge, because they were his advisors, right? Anything, you will go to him, and they were the ones who would educate people of living, etc., etc. And from that particular kingdom. But similarly, he had people who are doing business. Similarly, people who are doing the hard work, like the Kshatriyas, and then the Shudras who are do all the grunt work. The question is, right, when we live in this world today, right? We today live on BWSSB, right? BWSSB is the Bangalore, whatever waste management system that creates removes garbage, removes the gutter, stuck gutters, etc., etc. Question is, we need them, right? We need them. Without it, we cannot survive, right? Tomorrow, if there is a stuck thing somewhere, we call and they come and take care of it. Yet they are looked upon very differently, right? So here, one of the things it says is, you in a kingdom or in a society, you need all these 4 types of people. So give equal respect to all of them. Yeah, they may be wearing different clothes, right? But can I give this, a similar set of eyes to this? This I'll take it to the one stanza in the 5th chapter where we use the word samadarshinaha. You remember? See, that's the reason I see all these chapters, right? They're all related. You can apply this everywhere. Samadarshina means I have an equal set of eyes.
Cow, elephant, and all that.
Yeah, so that is it. But cow, elephant, we can always say they are different. But then it comes up for us. The problem is always with human beings, isn't it? Can I say we'll use the same set of eyes
That's the problem.
without prejudices, etc., with 5 different sets of people? No, right? Because of whatever misgivings, etc., I may have. But if you see this particular stanza, it says, these are based on gunas, but they're also something that has to be there in every society. So this was one verse we should. Yeah, Urmila ji, you said you had something in this particular thing. Which questions are doubt tha kya isme?
No, no doubt. I wanted to say that as an eye opener, I see this particular stanza as an eye opener for whole society. I mean, we should not differentiate in them. And then some of us, not us, but some are taking advantage of that in our politics or something like that.
Yeah. See, so politics, unfortunately, you're very right. People, today 80% of the people, 80-90% of the people outside, if you go, they'll talk only about caste.
Yeah.
Right. And the word caste does not even exist in our thing. It was all created later on after the Vedic, or after the Vedas. People created this division, etc. Whatever, right? Or let's not debate that, right? But the point is that's carried forward even today.
That's where I also admit that I had this thing that is Krishna hinting at intercaste marriages that's not advisable. I was thinking like that when I read that. I didn't know.
No.
What is
no,
he
in
saying?
one stanza. See, See,
What
in
is
one stanza, they say is Varna Sankara also is not good. Then again, they tell us to accept all the Varnas and the same, I mean, with equanimity.
yes, that is what I wanted to know. Is he
Yeah.
saying that
Uh,
by caste, by division of skill, is it that we cannot
uh,
do marriages in other castes?
No,
Is
he's
it
not
yeah.
talking anything about that
nothing?
at all. He's not talking about that at all here. Yeah, we're not getting into relationships, etc. here. I mean,
Okay.
really, everything comes down to acceptance, right? If therefore,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
one is able to accept the other person from a different varna. I'm not going to use the word caste here. From a different varna, and integrate that as part of your family. What's wrong with it? That's the way to simply put it. Now I know there is a lot of social, uh, you know, limitations, etc. that one has to respect, and we can't ignore it also. Like family injunctions might be there, and all of that is there. So we have to respect all of that.
Kuch
Yeah.
jaan ke
All
chalo,
right.
kuch maan ke chalo.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that is
yeah, yeah.
a
You
usual
can't. It's not
sentence.
a marriages are never a sole one person's decision, right? It's a
No,
again a
but it
collective
is
effort of many.
contradictory, na? In that stanza, it is contradictory. Varna Sankara, and
Which was
here,
I referring to? Which was I referring to?
um, I think maybe in Adhyay 1 or 2, it has been mentioned. I'll tell you.
Second,
Right now, I don't have, but
second
I'll
chapter,
refer.
I think.
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
second
See, there is
chapter.
a possibility. Bhagavad Gita does have contradictions quite a bit, but we have to see the
I meant
context in which
my,
you have to see the context in which something was said then, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So for example, he'll say earlier on that, do this, karma yoga. And after some time, he'll say you do jnana yoga, jnana yoga. And that's the confusion that Arjuna went through also, right? He was confused as to which one to do, right? If
Yeah,
you see at
it's
the
very
beginning of chapter
confusing.
3, no, it's because it has to be done in the see, it is like this, right? The way I look at it is also, Bhagavad Gita is like going through degrees. There's a bachelor's degree, there's a master's degree, there's a PhD. And it goes through all of them. So, so therefore at a bachelor's level, I have to only say a few things. But after some time, when I go to master's level, I will actually say what you did and what I taught you as part of the bachelor's degree does not apply here. And hence, that might appear like contradicting. Because now with this newer elevated thinking, you don't need to do that other one. That's the way to look
Yeah,
at all of
correct,
this knowledge, right? And then when I go to
correct.
PhD, right? Oh, for nonsense, right? It's just like where we tell when we were all young, we were told sun rotates and this and that, right? And later on Earth was stationary. Simple things like that, right? So we all know which is true, which is right, which is not right. Okay, so let's move on. We'll go to another stanza in fourth chapter. I don't know how many we'll be able to cover today. We'll just see how best we can do today. Okay, for 19th verse. Um, yeah, 18th verse. Let's see. So somebody used this word earlier on. I think Kalpaji in something. So let's understand this. This one says, "Karmanya karmaya pashyet akarmanicha karmaya." But it just says, it gives a very simple analogy, right? It just says, a person who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is a wise amongst us. He's a yogi. And he's the true performer of all action. And the word you have to understand, what does he mean by true performer of all action? So there's a lot of, words embedded in this particular stanza, very potent and one not very well understood because the way it appears contradictory in nature. It's not definitely by pure logic, one will say it's not rational. And yet it has got a lot of meaning. So what is he trying to say here?
Actually, when you enjoy what you're doing, like then you don't feel that you're doing something. Like a mother who is looking after the baby, she's awake at night. Again, morning she'll do non-stop, but she's always smiling. She doesn't show that she's ever tired or fed up with the child. She keeps on doing, but the same thing cannot happen with a paid maid. She can always be little careless, but mothers with joy she will do. So that is that is action. I mean, when you have that joy in doing something, you won't feel that tiredness at all. that that I'm doing something. So then
So which one does it fit into? What the example you're giving, does it fit into inaction in action or action in inaction?
it is inaction in action.
Okay. And why do you say it that way?
See, she's doing 24 hours job, but she doesn't feel that she's
Because
doing any job. It's because she feels so joyful and it's a duty she's doing. So it doesn't, there's no pressure, there's no, what you call, negative effect on that. It's only full of joy. And there's a lot of, because she's doing it she wants the child to be happy. One little smile from the child, or that the child, sleep peacefully. She's so happy like that. So, I mean, that's my understanding.
Yeah, you are very right. See, the way to look at this is from two angles. One is what does it mean here that for every action to take place, unless there is a enabler for it. So this enabler is the divine energy enabler, right? Nothing, not even blinking an eye is going to happen without that enabling function. You can call it divine energy, God, whatever it is, right? So therefore, that inaction is that because here that inaction part is that energy that is it's like the electricity that's driving up, your fan, your etc. Right? It is simply it is an enabler without which the fan does not run. Electricity by itself cannot do anything. It is because it's a non-doer, but it is an enabler. So same thing here. Inaction and action is referring to, therefore, respecting that there is a higher force which is making me do what I am doing. That is, you understand it from the, one angle of it. The other aspect of it is that when I see it from that aspect, right, I just do everything very naturally. The doership is gone. I just enjoy, I give my 100% to my thing, as Kalpaji was saying, right? I am more, I don't see it as a burden. Like the mother, she was saying, doing morning till night cleaning, taking care of the kid, blah, blah, blah. No sense of, I'm just, it's a pleasure. And I don't even look at, whether the food that I made is tasty or not, whatever, because I know it will be the best because I've done whatever best I can. So why is this being said here, this particular verse? One is to understand what it means, but the other part of it is from a usage perspective, is that it will not bring in any impression. When I see it from that angle, right, this mother example that Karpa is using, that mother will just go, without taking any residual, impressions from this, right? So she just did it at best of her ability with a natural mindset. For her,
yeah,
it
she's
was,
in her
it
nature.
was a duty that she enjoyed, right? You don't think I have to do this, I have to do this next, I have to do this next, I have to do this next. But not that what even came up. Yeah, you just have to do it. I'll do it. That's it. So it was that all of this comes under Karma Yoga, right? Even though this fourth chapter is the action. If I see it from that angle of non-doership, there's a non-doership entity that is making this whole action happen. Then I see it as I've been just given this to do it. Let me give my full 100%. So when Guruji says, for those who are not living, when Guruji says 100%, what does he mean by 100%? That you give everything, but also with the sense of inaction in action. If I do it, then there's no regrets, right? No regrets about the result of that thing because I've done everything best I can. Nothing more could have been done. No regrets, whatever. Now, the second part of it, which is seeing action in inaction. Who would like to talk about that? What is an example for that?
Shall we take
Like
meditation?
the spider. Did you give the example of the spider here? Sorry.
Yes, spider example, Sologo, how did you relate to this one, Bhavani?
I don't know whether I confused it with where the spider weaves its own web. It came in a
that
later.
comes in a different
Yeah,
context.
that's in a later chapter. But does it refer to this also?
No. That doesn't come here. So here we just look at it, right? When we talk about what is inaction according to us, and then when Krishna says seeing the action in the inaction, what is he referring to?
You
So
our daily
the best way to put it from
routine.
an understanding perspective is right as Kalpaji sees is when you're meditating or even when you're sleeping. Just take when you're sleeping. Sleeping, according to somebody who's taking a picture of you or a video of you, you are in action. You are not active. You are in action as per the definition. But are you really not doing anything? Tons of things are happening within my body. There's a cleansing action happening, repairing happening, building of muscles happening, nutrients going to the right places is happening. Everything is happening inside. Similarly, when I meditate, when I'm in deep meditation, something, but otherwise thoughts are coming and going. Right. It's not that, I might be not mobile, my eyes might be closed, but things are happening even in my mind, my thoughts, etc. Right? So therefore, there is action because that's the reason we said action is not just doing something physically, it is also the things that are happening. Dreams and asleep is also action, isn't it? Because somewhere the senses are doing something, the mind is doing something, right, for that dream to come. It is taking some impression from before and manifesting itself as a dream, right? So it's action. So therefore, action and inaction, you can take multiple examples. Now, how does it apply in the context of Karma Yoga, right? That's the reason he's saying, right? Person who says he is a yogi, he says it. So the way to look at it is this, right? I can take a particular, want to say something? Yeah, that's Vanilla. Somebody was saying
Arjuna. No, you finish. I just wanted to ask, action in action in the positive way, all those positive thoughts and this which are there, and it will give a good effect on this, right? But inaction, when he talks about Arjuna, the Gita, does it also refer to Arjuna wanting to lay down his arms and not wanting to do it? And but that will still create prarabdha karma for him. Does it mean that also?
It will.
Action, does it mean the result of that?
So see, even action and inaction can create karma, right? Agami karma. Correct. So let's just say that I am, a person who today I'm chilling out. I'm not going to work. But there is but things are there in my mind, right? I'm not something about my job. My boss told me this yesterday, and I'm just growling mentally at this whatever he told me yesterday, he or she told me yesterday. That's all impressions, right? All that is going to create karma, future karma. But let's take another example, right? Sometimes I made a mistake, but I hold back on admitting a mistake, right? And why is it I want to hold back? Ego. So when there is inaction happening, even at the mental level, my ego is at work. That also is something to go beyond, right? So that is also another angle we can look at it. So therefore, when you see from multiple threads, right, if the more I'm able to, at least, so in this particular case, when I'm doing action, physical action, there is a sense of ego that's at play. It also means that when I'm actually not doing any action, then also ego is at play. Guruji has mentioned this, right? People who do meditation very nicely. Oh, I do 30 minutes meditation every day. Today, I had a very deep meditation. And I should get this result. What is at play? Ego is at play. Result is at play. Wanting something at the end of it is play. So even in so-called noble actions that we may say, or spiritual actions, can be karma, that can be pain. So again, what is going to help is only knowledge. That knowledge, of course, comes knowledge or discriminative mindset, however you look at it, is coming to play for all of this. And for that, what is needed? Yajna. It'll come down to the same thing over and over and over again. We keep this thing in mind, right? That word yajna, yajna spirit in doing action. Lot of things can be sorted out in our life, right? So what we say, therefore, he is a yogi and a true performer. What is a true performer of all actions? A person who's giving 100%, right? And a person also who is not as much feverish about a particular result. He takes everything as it comes. And that's why he uses a prasada buddhi for all of this. And as a result of it, he doesn't take any, uh, residual impressions or vasanas. That is really a true performer of all. The word true is always sometimes misconstrued as something else. Here we have to see it from a spiritual angle what it's saying here. There's also another place in many of these verses that we've seen, right? To the word they use sin. Sin in Karma Yoga. What is sin in Karma Yoga?
What is?
Sin. You don't incur any sin, or you will incur sin. He will say this. Krishna says it multiple verses.
What is it? I didn't understand.
The word sin, S-I-N, sin.
Sin. Okay.
What is sin from a Karma Yoga perspective?
Don't hurt anyone physically or
Action
even
that
by
will create
words.
impression.
Maybe, doing something for a selfish purpose.
Actions
Yeah,
that will
see,
leave
one-
impressions, not on.
Yeah, that is the only thing here we are referring to. See, we all know sin from the perspective of if I took a revolver and hit, shoot it at somebody or hurt somebody physically. Of course, that sin is one thing. Here we are not talking about that. Here we are talking about, very noble person. Right? He doesn't have any idea of hurting anybody, he or she. Right? But he still is not soaked into knowledge. And hence he or she is, adding more to that karma database memory. That is the sin. So from the standpoint of karma yoga, a sin means you're adding more agami karma.
Okay.
And you're not, accepting when the karma comes to your life. And so both of these sin is therefore not a terrible thing that we sometimes by the broad definition. You have to see the sin from this perspective. The sin here means don't act together because it's going to create pain tomorrow. See, the way to look at sin is today it might be the positive. Tomorrow, all of these accumulate and it will result in something that is not pleasant. That will be a bother, right? That can create depression, whatever. So essentially, to forewarn against those things happening, you think don't take anything into it today. So being watchful today is going to help us what we're going to incur in our future lives. That is the way to understand the word sin. Okay, all right. Okay, so there are a few verses. I just not going through them in detail. There is a lot of yajna types we learn from the 25th verse of 4th chapter all the way to about 28 to 29. Right? Remember, I don't know if you remember, there will be Deva Yajna. Because Deva Yajna and then
Rishi Yajna.
Rishi Yajna, right? And then we also, so what are the types of yajnas we heard? Deva Yajna, which is, spirit, called chanting, pujas, etc., all of that. We also did yajnas about having some sense control over our senses. Pratyahara, we refer to it. Right? Having some say, I should do this, not do this. I don't do it. Not get swayed by the mind saying, not becoming a slave of the mind, having a say over it. Pranayama is also a yajna. charity is also a yajna. Meditation is also a yajna. Being in knowledge, is also a yajna. In Chinmaya Mission, if you go and wherever you go, you see the word Gita Jnana Yajna. Always they say, and they'll say chapter 5, chapter 6. Always it will say Gita Jnana. I used to always wonder, Gita, I understand, why is the word Jnana Yajna there? Because that is a yajna, right? Jnana Yajna. So if you relate to that particular thing, so whenever we read something or listen to a knowledge, all of that comes under jnana yajna. And the same knowledge, jnana, is referred to in the later part of fourth chapter as fire of knowledge. Remember, it's like the clouds of ignorance that govern our life. Cloud means we have a lack of understanding or lack of proper understanding of how to live life. That can be addressed by a beautiful sunshine. So similarly, fire of knowledge is also like the sun that can illuminate one's mind and bring them out of this ignorance. And the other word that is also used for knowledge is food of knowledge. Food of knowledge is almost like what is cutting through, cutting through all these misconceptions. So the fourth chapter was bridging between karma yoga, which is required by all of us. By doing it, we do a lot of cleansing to our mind. We do service, ego gets busted. A lot of cleansing happens in that. But ultimately, progress in spiritual life without knowledge, one cannot progress. Right? And so therefore, the fourth chapter brings in those aspects of what is knowledge, right? How does it work? And then towards the end of fourth chapter, all of these things are talked about. Then we go into the fifth chapter. What time is it today? So shall we continue or what should we do?
And continue. Continue.
Yeah. 10 minutes there, no? 10
Okay.
minutes.
All right.
Well, can continue. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take it till 7. Sorry, another 15 minutes. Okay. So chapter 5, is all about renunciation. The word renunciation comes at the very beginning. So the question to all of us, right? What does renunciation mean? What does renunciation not mean?
Renunciation is.
What does renunciation mean and what does renunciation not mean?
Renunciation is not doing any work, whereas work in devotional service is better than renunciation of the work.
Okay. But Paila not quite true.
No, I feel
renunciation you're saying something.
Renouncing the doership. Not cutting.
Yeah, renunciation is, what renunciation is not, I'll tell you. But so once we understand what renunciation is not, right, which I think renunciation is not running away from work. It's not doing work. So this whole thing about renunciation applies only for the people who are doing work. If somebody is running away to the Himalayas because he or she is not able to deal with all the pressures and tension, stress, etc., that is not renunciation. That is not sitting, basking in Himalayas, is not renunciation. It is in the course of doing the action. What mindset do I apply is where renunciation comes in. That is where the non-doership is one aspect that Bhavani talked about. The second thing is non-attachment to the results of the action. Goes again back to what we said in third and fourth chapter, right? Fruits of action, prasada buddhi, yajna spirit, right? You can tally everything into a few of these, right? And you would have gotten all the knowledge of these three chapters. So, renunciation is therefore, not being feverish about the results, having a gratitude about the fact that I've got some action to do, be grateful for that, and then sense of that, it is just happening and just simply one of the instruments to it. Everything is being enabled from, nature is enabling it. Yeah, we'll be listening.
Yeah, one more example is been given about the leaf of lotus. Say like leaf of
Yeah, that comes to
lotus.
attachment part. That comes also with this data. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's part.
Yeah.
So, 3rd stanza of the 5th stanza of 5th chapter, right? It says here about, hate, desire, opposites, etc., etc.
Anger.
So what do we understand? How do we relate to it?
Renouncing the desire for any result of the action.
Yeah, not having any,
Likes and
rather
dislikes. No likes and
not
dislikes.
having, yeah. No, likes and dislikes you can have, but not getting overwhelmed
Attached.
by those likes and dislikes. Right? All of us have likes and dislikes. But if I say, I hate the smoker, I hate somebody who did it, I hate this, or without this I cannot live, right? That's really called creating. It is even stronger word than like and dislike, right? Similarly, aversion is a very stronger word of dislike. Aversion is almost like hating. And that puts an impression, right? Next time you see somebody with a cigarette, your mind goes into all the kinds of things. This is an example. So opposites and when I say opposites, craving, all of these come together, right? Just realize that is part and parcel of life. So he says that this person will not be bounded. So the word always in Vedanta that is used is one is being bounded, one is being attached. They mean the same thing. Attached means what you're chained together. Your mind is chained. It's like in a prison. You're in a mental prison. Similarly, is attachment. You're in a mental prison. Physically, you're free, but mentally, you're caught up in a web of all these, misconceptions, hatred, blah blah blah, whatever they may be, and that is affecting your life. Okay. And then the 4th stanza is a very beautiful one. Sankhya Yoga Pratak Bala Pravadantina Pandita. It says here that knowledge, Jnana Yoga, and Karma Yoga, they are not actually two different things.
Yeah.
In fact, if you do one very beautifully, the other is already taken care of. Because for me to do Karma Yoga properly, I have to be in knowledge. Only then I can really do, right? I mean, because for all the tips that we went through it so far, right, in 3rd, 4th chapter, etc., for one to be doing true spirit of Karma Yoga, unless there is a knowledge behind it, you will not do it. Because somebody might say, do it this way, right? I do it once or twice, and I say, this is all nonsense, I go back to my earlier way. But if I integrate the knowledge, that wisdom is soaked into into me, then I'll do exactly what that wisdom says, right? I should do. So therefore, he's saying knowledge and yoga of action are not two distinct things. They may appear that one should follow the other, but if you do one beautifully, the other one will take care of. So let's say somebody who's in knowledge. Let's say a sage, right, or a guru. They're in knowledge. Look at their actions. Absolutely karma yoga. It is not that everybody is doing action, right? They are doing action.
But to be firmly established in this?
Yeah, they're firmly established in Karma Yoga because of Jnana Yoga fully into there. So similarly, us also. So what is the common denominator in all of this? Both of them is knowledge. And second is action. So both of these we have to, right? How we combine the two, how do we learn from one experience to the next is where growth and spirituality. Sure. Okay, quickly go to a couple of other verses here. Naiva kinchit karomiti. There's a stanza which is 8 stanza. I do nothing at all, right? So this should resonate with all of us, right? Having the spirit that, I do nothing, I am nothing, and I want nothing. Those who have heard this will understand what I'm saying. But if you go by this, that's what this is. Then moving on.
No,
Yeah.
in Pratyahar we say these two, na? These three. Akinchan, Achaha, Aprayatna.
Yep.
While doing Pratyahara, I'm in meditation.
Yeah. Now the one stanza that the one example that Bhavani is talking about is there in the 10th stanza of the chapter. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tektva karoti saha satyatena tapapena padma patra vimambasada. Padma patra. Like, the reason that example is taken is just like the water droplet is actually floating on the beach. Doesn't get attached. Similarly, when I do my action, if I offer them completely to the higher force, which is Sharabuddhi, then what happens? There is no attachment. And that's where he takes example of the lotus leaf. That it sits in water, and yet it doesn't allow it to touch it. It's not attached. Okay, all right. So the 19th verse, very potent, lot of. So if you recall, these words came, right? Tad buddhayaha, tadatmanaha, tannishta, tatparayanaha. You remember these words that we discussed this in the last session, right? Where, I'm fully absorbed in that higher thing. I am fully, I totally understand the glory of that higher self, right? So when I'm in that space, again, all of this comes in, when we do the sadhana practice and then also when I'm in knowledge. Then he says that these people come and reach me. They go to a place where there is no return. What does it mean? The person becomes realized. That's the way to look at it. When Krishna says the person doesn't return, it means what return means the person has come to this highest level of awareness about himself or herself, which is beyond the body, truly soaked in the divine. So there's no difference between divine and the particular person. And then he goes this example that we took earlier, right? The sage looking at an elephant, a cow, etc. Samadarshinaha. We don't need to talk about that. We already mentioned that particular thing. Yeah. And then 22nd verse, tells about people who are not in this knowledge. He says that, those of us who are still soaked in pleasures, see, it's not that we should not, enjoy a fruit, etc., be totally numb to anything, right? But somebody for whom enjoyment is the purpose of life, pleasure is the purpose of life. What the 22nd verse says is, those are all sources of pain. Now I might enjoy it. One day later, the same pleasure might result in something unwarranted, maybe my health, my mind, whatever it might. So short-term pleasure, long-term pain. Short-term pain or discipline, long-term pleasure. Right? So if I look at it that way, anything that I try to fulfill my desires at this time, right now, which is in a form of pleasure, it will become a pain the later part of life. And then the 24th verse, to sum it up on this particular chapter, talks about, jnana phala. Right? And this knowledge is going to continue in the rest of Bhagavad Gita, but they always say, whenever we want to do something, people say, what's the use? What's the use? Why should I do it? And so we're giving a prelude to that particular thing in the 24th verse. Like, your awareness level increases, you're able to make, what is called choices, discriminative choice much easily. And your discipline, pratyahara, all of these things start falling into place. Right? Falling into place is the right word. It's right. There's still some cleansing to be done, but they start falling into place one after the other. There's no choice but it happens. Due to what? Jnana yoga being jnana. And of course, karma yoga also there together. I think this is where we will close the fifth chapter. Any residual thoughts, I guess, anything that was not
Yeah, the
covered?
summing up really helps because you are really summing up during the most challenging chapters, where everything is stuffed in those three, the right places where we will get all counter thoughts. So you are really triggering that. Good. Nothing. That means, Ramesh, one thing came to me. What it means is like you're established in very much in the self. To remain established in the self, you have to keep on doing karma. He says like Rishi says even that means for people like Guruji, it will not come back again. I don't think so. But for us like that, if we remain like that for some time, I am like all that, it will come back and we can regress, right? We can
Yeah,
regress,
but
no?
it's okay, right? But it's okay to regret, right? But the key thing is learning from it. It's learning from
Yeah.
it, waking up, becoming aware, right? They say, right, wake up, wake up, wake up. Why do we say wake up, wake up, wake up? Wake up from, either mistakes that you don't get caught up on the mistake. Realize it is part of me. Mistake is also part of me. I'm not perfect. It's an acceptance has to just come.
दो पहिए में चलना पड़ेगा. Knowledge and
Yeah,
practice
yeah,
both
yeah,
together.
yeah. Yeah, that awareness part is what is important, right? Just becoming aware,
Yeah.
not too later on, right? Then and there, as much
Yes.
quickly as possible.
Understand. Yes.
So,
Thank you so much. And
thank
Urmi,
you.
have a safe
Thank
travel
you.
tomorrow, safe flight. Take care.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
All the
Thank
best.
you.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I could not meet you this time, nor could you come. Next time,